I was standing in my own living room when my wife's family walked in like they owned the place. And I knew something was wrong. It was a Tuesday evening. I remember because I'd just gotten home from work, kicked off my shoes, and was thinking about what to make for dinner. Then the door burst open. No knock, no warning. Just her brother Jaden practically bouncing through the doorway, her sister Abigail grinning like she'd won the lottery. And even her father, a man who never smiled, had this manic energy in his eyes that made my stomach turn. My wife was right behind them, already nodding along to whatever pitch was coming. That should have been my first sign. "We need to talk," her father said, settling onto my couch like he paid the rent. "All of us. This is about your future." I sat down slowly, already feeling the trap closing around me. Jaden couldn't sit still. He was pacing, pulling out his phone every few seconds, fingers flying across the screen like he was conducting an orchestra. "Look at this," he said, shoving the device in my face. "Crypto gains from the last 30 days. Look at these numbers." The screen showed what looked like a legitimate trading app. Clean interface, professional graphics, green numbers climbing everywhere. Massive percentage gains. The kind that make people do stupid things. "This is Crypto Max Elite," Abigail jumped in. "It's not just buying crypto. It's an ecosystem. A community of people helping each other unlock higher earning tiers." I already didn't like where this was heading. Higher earning tiers. That phrase alone set off alarms in my head. "That's the beautiful part," her father explained, leaning forward with that unsettling gleam still in his eyes. "The more people you bring in, the higher your multiplier becomes. I started with $5,000 last month. Look where I am now." He turned his phone toward me. The account balance read $47,000. My wife gasped beside me. "Dad, are you serious? You made $42,000 in 1 month?" "That's nothing," Jaden said, still pacing. Abigail's friend Molly brought in her whole office. She's pulling in 6 figures monthly now. I studied the screens they kept shoving at me. Everything looked professional. Too professional. The numbers were too perfect, too consistent. Real trading has losses, volatility, bad weeks. This looked like someone had photoshopped a fantasy. "How exactly does this work?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Abigail launched into the explanation like she'd rehearsed it. "Simple. You invest your capital into their automated trading system. But here's the genius part. The more people in your network, the higher percentage of profits you earn. It's like compound interest on steroids." "And you need to recruit people to make money," I said. "Not recruit," her father corrected quickly. "Share opportunities. Help others succeed. When they succeed, you succeed." I sat back, processing what I was hearing. "So you need new people constantly joining to maintain the profit structure?" "Exactly," Jaden said, completely missing my point. "That's why we're here. We want you and my sister to get in before they close this tier. They're limiting new members starting Monday." Of course they were. Classic urgency tactic. Manufactured scarcity to force quick decisions. My wife grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in with excitement. "Honey, did you hear those numbers? We could pay off the house. We could finally take that vacation to Europe we've been talking about." "How much are they asking for?" I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Her father's expression shifted into something practiced, something he'd probably used 100 times before. "Well, to get into the premium tier, where the authentic gains happen, you need a minimum of $45,000. $45,000? Our entire savings account. 3 years of careful budgeting, skipping vacations, eating at home, putting away every spare dollar so we could stop renting and buy our own house. And they wanted us to hand it over for this. I need to research this first, I said. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. You could feel the shift, from excited to hostile in seconds. Research what? Abigail asked, her voice sharp. We just showed you the proof. Dad made $42,000. What more research do you need? I want to understand how the trading algorithm works. Who's behind the company? Basic due diligence. Jaden laughed, but there was no humor in it. Due diligence, dude. While you're doing research, people are making money hand over fist. This isn't buying stocks through some boring broker. This is next-level wealth building. The window closes Monday, her father added. After that, they're only accepting referrals from existing premium members. You'll miss your chance. I looked at my wife. She was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before, like I was personally standing between her and everything she'd ever wanted. Honey, she said slowly, carefully. My family is trying to help us. They're sharing an opportunity that could change our lives. I understand that, I replied. But this sounds exactly like a pyramid scheme. You need new people joining constantly. The profits depend on recruitment. Those are textbook warning signs. The room erupted. Pyramid scheme. Jaden stood up like I'd insulted his mother. Are you calling my dad a liar? I'm not calling anyone a liar. I'm saying this business model has red flags. Red flags? Abigail's voice could have cut glass. The only red flag is your attitude. We're trying to include you in something amazing, and you're being negative and paranoid. Her father shook his head slowly, like he was disappointed in a child. I should have known you'd be resistant to opportunity. Some people are just wired to stay small. Stay small. The insult hung in the air between us. My wife looked from me to her family and back again, and I could see the conflict in her eyes. But she wasn't looking at me like her husband anymore. She was looking at me like an obstacle to overcome. Maybe, she said quietly. We could just try it with some of the money, not all of it. Any amount is too much for a scheme like this, I replied. Her father stood up, smoothing his shirt with exaggerated calm. Scheme. Son, I've got 47,000 in gains that say otherwise. But I can see you've already made up your mind. We tried to help, Jaden added. We tried to include you. But you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. They started gathering their phones, preparing to leave with theatrical disappointment. But the way my wife was looking at them, like they were walking away with her dreams, told me this conversation was far from over. Think about it, her father said to my wife specifically, ignoring me completely. Think about what this could mean for your future, your actual future. After they left, my wife didn't say a word to me. She spent 2 hours on the phone with her sister that night, talking in whispers I couldn't quite hear from the next room. I sat alone in our kitchen, staring at the walls, and realized I had a much bigger problem than just a financial scam. I had a loyalty problem. And when I finally went to bed that night, I lay awake listening to her muffled voice through the wall, knowing that something fundamental had broken between us, something that might never be fixed. The next morning, I woke up to find my wife already dressed, already absorbed in her phone at the kitchen table. She had that glazed look people get when they've been scrolling for hours, eyes unfocused, posture hunched, completely lost in whatever she was reading. Morning, I said, pouring coffee. She barely glanced up. Did you know Molly from Abigail's work bought a new BMW last month? Paid cash. Here we go. That's nice for her, I replied, sitting down with my breakfast. She turned her phone toward me. Look at this post. This woman started with $10,000 6 weeks ago. She's already at $68,000. The screenshot showed another pristine-looking trading interface with green numbers everywhere, percentage gains that seemed mathematically impossible. These could be fake, I said gently. Her face changed instantly. Fake? Why would these people lie about their success? To get other people to invest money in their scheme. She set her phone down hard enough to make my coffee jump. There's that word again. Scheme. You've already decided what this is without even giving it a chance. I took a breath and chose my words carefully. I looked into CryptoMax Elite last night. They're not registered with the SEC. Their website was created 8 months ago. There's no information about their trading algorithm or leadership team. So legitimate investment companies are transparent about those things. They have to be. She picked up her phone again, swiping through more screenshots like she was building a case. Maybe they're just newer. Maybe they're doing things differently. Maybe they're running a con. She stood up abruptly, grabbing her purse. You know what? I'm going to call Abigail. Get more information. Talk to people who are actually making money instead of sitting here being negative. After she left for work, I spent my lunch break researching pyramid schemes and crypto scams. What I found made my stomach turn. Story after story of families destroyed, life savings wiped out, relationships ruined over promises that sounded exactly like what my wife's family was selling. But what bothered me more was a pattern I kept seeing. The schemes didn't just take people's money. They turned family members against each other. They isolated victims from anyone who questioned the opportunity. They weaponized hope. My wife came home that evening with printed pages and a notebook full of handwritten notes. I talked to 6 different people today, she announced, spreading everything across our kitchen table like evidence in a trial. People who are actually in CryptoMax Elite. People who are actually making money. She pointed to a printout with aggressive enthusiasm. Look at this. Brad from Jaden's gym. He started 3 months ago with $15,000. He's already withdrawn $30,000 in profits and still has $60,000 growing in the system. Did you actually see his bank statements? I asked. Or just screenshots of an app? Her jaw tightened. Why would he lie? Because his profits depend on bringing in new people like us. She slammed her hand on the table. This is exactly what Abigail said you'd do. Pick apart every piece of evidence. Find reasons why it can't work instead of reasons why it can. I'm trying to protect us. From what? From financial freedom. From opportunity. I rubbed my temples. From losing our house down payment to criminals? Criminals. Her voice went up an octave. You're calling my family criminals now. I'm saying they're being scammed, and they're trying to pull us into it too. She stared at me for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Colder, more distant. Lucas at Abigail's office made enough last month to pay off his student loans. $43,000. Gone. He's 26 years old and completely debt-free now. If that's genuine. You keep saying if. What if you're wrong? What if this is authentic and we miss out because you're too scared to take a chance? And what if I'm right and we lose everything? She gathered up her papers, not looking at me. I'm going to my sister's tonight, to talk to people who believe in possibilities instead of problems. After she left, I sat alone in our kitchen, staring at the stack of printouts she'd forgotten on the counter. Every single one showed profits that were mathematically impossible through legitimate trading. The gains were too consistent, too perfect, too good to be true. But I realized something that made my blood run cold. It didn't matter what I proved to her. She didn't want evidence. She wanted permission to believe in a fantasy. And her family was giving her exactly what she wanted to hear. I picked up my phone and started looking up divorce attorneys in our area. Not because I wanted to leave her, but because I had a feeling I was going to need to protect myself from what she was about to do. My wife came home late that night, and the next evening she arrived with a new phone case covered in CryptoMax Elite logos and a manila folder thick with documents. "I have something to show you," she said, setting everything on the table with ceremony. Inside were bank statements, but not ours. "Georgia from my sister's book group," she began. "She's been in the program for 4 months. These are her actual bank records." I studied the papers carefully. Deposits every few weeks, large amounts. The numbers looked impressive until I noticed the memo lines. "These deposits are coming from other people," I said. "Look, new member contribution, referral investment, downline capital. This isn't trading profit." "Exactly," she said, missing my point entirely. "The community supports each other. When new people join her network, she gets a percentage. It's brilliant. It's a pyramid." She snatched the papers back. "It's networking, community building, people helping people succeed." "Where does the money come from originally?" "From the trading algorithm, from crypto gains." "But these bank statements show money coming from other investors, not from trading profits." She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "The profits get distributed through the network. That's how it works." I took a deep breath. "Listen to what you just said. The profits come from new investors, not from trading. That's literally the definition of a pyramid scheme." "You're twisting everything," she said, shoving the papers back in the folder. "Looking for problems instead of solutions. I'm looking at facts. The fact is that Georgia made $18,000 last month. The fact is that my family is trying to help us build wealth. The fact is that you're being stubborn and negative." She moved toward the kitchen, then stopped and turned back. "Abigail talked to someone at CryptoMax Elite today. They're closing the premium tier Monday. After that, you need personal referrals to get in. This is our last chance to join at the ground level." "Good," I said. "Let it close." Her face flushed red. 45,000 could become 200,000 by Christmas. Do you understand what that means? It means we lose 45,000 by Christmas. She slammed her hand on the counter. "Why are you fighting this? Why are you fighting me?" "Because I love you, and I'm watching you get manipulated." "Manipulated?" Her voice went dangerously quiet. "My family is manipulating me?" "Yes. The people who care about my future are manipulating me, but you, trying to keep me poor, that's love?" "Keep you poor? We've been saving for 3 years. We're building something real." "And we still don't have enough for a house down payment," she shot back. "Georgia made enough in 4 months to buy a house cash. If any of this was authentic..." She picked up her phone, fingers already dialing. "I'm calling my dad. I want his permission to use our savings tonight." "You need my permission too. It's a joint account." She froze with the phone halfway to her ear. For a moment, something calculating flashed across her face. "Of course," she said slowly. "Joint account. Joint decision." But the way she said it made my skin crawl. After dinner, She spent the evening on her laptop in the living room while I watched TV in silence. Every few minutes, I'd hear her typing rapidly or talking in hushed tones on video calls with her family. The apartment felt smaller somehow, like the walls were closing in. Around midnight, I got up to use the bathroom and noticed her laptop was still open on the coffee table. She'd fallen asleep on the couch. The screen showed our online banking login page. My heart started pounding. I looked closer and saw multiple tabs open: our savings account, our checking account, and a page titled "How to Transfer Large Amounts Quickly." I gently closed the laptop and went to bed, but I didn't sleep. At 3 a.m, I heard her get up and move around the house quietly. I pretended to be asleep, but kept one eye cracked open. She was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop, the screen's glow illuminating her face in the darkness. I watched her for 20 minutes. She kept typing, pausing, typing again. Sometimes she'd pull out her phone and reference something, then go back to typing. When she finally went back to bed, I waited another hour before getting up to check what she'd been doing. The laptop was closed, but our banking website was bookmarked in her browser now. It hadn't been there before. I went to my office and logged into our accounts from my computer. Someone had attempted to log in 4 times between 3:15 and 3:35 a.m. The attempts failed because our account required 2-factor authentication through my phone. My phone. I sat there in the dark, staring at the login attempts, and felt something inside me go cold. My wife had just tried to steal our life savings. Not considered it, not planned it, actually tried it. I opened a new browser tab and searched for emergency account protection and asset protection during divorce. I had until Monday before her family's deadline, but I had a feeling I had until tomorrow morning before she tried again. And next time, she wouldn't make the mistake of doing it without access to my phone. Friday morning, I called in sick to work. I had more important things to handle. By 9 a.m., I was sitting in Attorney Morris's office downtown, explaining my situation to a man who'd clearly heard this story too many times before. Financial fraud between spouses is more common than people think, he said, reviewing the bank login records I'd printed. Especially when family pressure is involved. You're smart to protect yourself now. What are my options? Several. First, we separate your assets immediately. Create individual accounts. Second, we prepare divorce paperwork in case things escalate. Third, we document everything for potential criminal charges if she actually transfers money. Criminal charges against my own wife. The words felt surreal. Theft is theft, he said simply. Doesn't matter who does it. I spent 2 hours in his office signing papers and learning about protective orders, asset freezes, and emergency divorces. It felt like planning for someone's death while they were still alive. By noon, I'd opened a new checking account and transferred my portion of our savings. Legally, I was entitled to half. I took exactly half, not $1 more. Then I drove to our storage unit across town and started moving my important possessions. Photo albums, documents, family heirlooms, tools, anything that mattered to me personally. I wasn't leaving yet, but I was preparing. My wife came home from work that evening in an unusually good mood. "Guess what?" she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "Abigail's friend Sydney made enough this month to quit her job. She's working CryptoMax Elite full-time now." Interesting. She wants to talk to us tomorrow, share her success story, help us understand the opportunity better. I nodded, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. "Sure." She seemed surprised by my calm response. "Really? I figure if we're going to make a decision this big, we should have all the information," She smiled for the first time in days. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. During dinner, she talked enthusiastically about the community, the lifestyle, the unlimited earning potential. I listened and asked questions and played the role of interested husband. But I was watching her carefully, looking for signs of what she was really thinking. I found them after we went to bed. Around 2 a.m, she got up again. This time, instead of going to the kitchen, she went to my office. I waited 5 minutes, then crept down the hallway. She was sitting at my desk, trying to figure out why she couldn't access our banking website. I'd changed all the passwords that afternoon. "Having trouble sleeping?" I asked from the doorway. She jumped like I'd fired a gun. "You scared me." "What are you doing?" I wanted to check our account balance, see exactly how much we have to work with." At 2 a.m? I couldn't sleep. I was excited about tomorrow's meeting with Sydney. I stepped into the room. "The account password isn't working anymore." Her face went pale. "What do you mean?" I changed it today." We stared at each other in the dim light from the computer screen. All pretense evaporated. "You don't trust me," she said quietly. "Should I?" "I'm your wife." "Who tried to access our savings account without telling me?" "Twice." Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked exactly like someone caught in a lie. "I wasn't going to take anything," she said finally. "Just looking at how to transfer large amounts quickly." Her face crumpled. "They need an answer by Monday. The window is closing. I thought maybe if I could just show you how easy the transfer would be." "You thought you'd steal our money and ask for forgiveness later." "It's not stealing. It's investing. It's our money." "Half of it is my money," I said. "And my half isn't going to CryptoMax Elite or any other scam." She stood up abruptly. "Fine. I'll call my father tomorrow. Tell him we can't afford the full amount. Maybe he can loan us the difference." "With what collateral?" "The house." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "You want to mortgage our rental house to invest in a pyramid scheme?" "I want to take advantage of an opportunity that could change our lives." "It will change our lives," I said. "It'll destroy them." She pushed past me toward the door. "I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight." "Good choice." After she left, I sat in my office for a long time, thinking about the woman I'd married and the stranger she'd become in less than a week. Tomorrow, I'd meet Sydney and hear the sales pitch that would probably seal my wife's fate. But tonight, I made a decision. I wasn't going to watch her destroy herself, and I wasn't going to let her drag me down with her. I opened my laptop and started researching how quickly divorce papers could be filed in our state. The answer was 72 hours if both parties agreed to terms, 48 hours in cases of financial fraud. I had a feeling I'd be needing the faster option. Saturday afternoon, Sydney arrived at our house driving a bright red sports car that probably cost more than most people make in a year. She was everything my wife wanted to be: designer clothes, expensive jewelry, perfectly styled hair, and that confident smile that comes from never having to check a price tag. "This is the house?" Sydney asked, looking around our modest rental with barely concealed disappointment. "We're saving up to buy," my wife explained quickly. "That's actually why we wanted to talk to you." Sydney settled into our living room like she was doing us a favor. "Well, you picked the perfect time to get serious about building wealth." For the next hour, she painted a picture of financial paradise. Exotic vacations paid for with passive income. Shopping sprees funded by network growth. A lifestyle where money was never a concern because the system worked for you while you slept. The key, Sydney explained, is thinking bigger than traditional investments. Stock markets give you maybe 8% annually if you're lucky. CryptoMax Elite delivers that every week. I let her talk. I asked interested questions. I even took notes. But I was really studying her technique. The way she deflected specific questions about the company's leadership, how she turned every concern into an opportunity. The masterful way she made my wife feel stupid for not seeing the obvious potential. The beautiful thing, Sydney continued, is that you're not just investing money. You're investing in relationships. Every person you bring in becomes part of your success story. What happens if we can't find people to bring in? I asked. Can't find people? Sydney laughed. Look around you. Everyone wants financial freedom. Everyone has friends and family who want better lives. You'll never run out of people to help. But mathematically, I pressed, if everyone needs to recruit others to make money, eventually you run out of new people. Sydney's smile tightened slightly. That's scarcity thinking. Abundance thinking recognizes that opportunity is limitless when you're helping others succeed. My wife nodded eagerly. That makes sense. Of course it does, Sydney said. Your husband is thinking like an employee. You're thinking like an entrepreneur. The insult was delivered so smoothly that my wife didn't even recognize it as one. How much did you start with? My wife asked. 50,000. But I wish I'd started with more. I could have unlocked higher tiers faster. Sydney leaned forward conspiratorially. Between you and me, the real money is in the premium levels. That's where the six-figure monthly returns happen. 50,000, my wife repeated dreamily. And now I'm pulling in 30 to 40,000 monthly, consistently, while working maybe 10 hours a week. I looked at Sydney's expensive outfit, her jewelry, her car visible through our window. That's impressive. What did you do before CryptoMax Elite? I was a marketing manager at a boutique firm, making decent money, but nothing like this. This changed everything. Which firm? Her smile flickered for just a moment. Oh, it was a small company. You wouldn't know it. After Sydney left, my wife was practically vibrating with excitement. Did you hear her? 30,000 a month. That's more than we make together in a year. If it's genuine, you saw her car, you saw her clothes. You think she's lying about her success? I think she's very good at her job. Her job is helping people build wealth. Her job is recruiting people into a pyramid scheme. My wife's excitement deflated into anger. There you go again. You heard the same presentation I did. You saw the same success I did. But you're determined to find problems. I saw a woman with expensive things giving a sales pitch. You saw someone who took a chance and won big. We argued for another hour. The same circular logic, the same talking points, the same frustration building like pressure in a sealed container. Finally, she delivered the ultimatum I'd been expecting. I'm going to my family's house tomorrow. We're making a decision about our future, with or without you. What does that mean? It means I'm tired of letting your fear hold us back. If you won't invest in our future, I'll find another way. Another way to do what? To get the money we need. I stared at her. You're talking about taking money that isn't yours to take. I'm talking about taking control of my life. By stealing. By investing in opportunity. That night, she packed a bag and left for her parents' house. I spent the evening making phone calls. To my attorney, confirming that divorce papers could be ready by Monday morning. To a moving company, scheduling them for Tuesday. To my brother, asking if I could stay with him temporarily. And to my bank, putting fraud alerts on all remaining accounts. Sunday morning, I got a text from my wife. Family meeting today. Making final decision. Last chance to be part of something amazing. I responded simply, understood. Then I turned off my phone and spent the day preparing for what came next. By evening, everything was in place. All I had to do was wait for her to make the choice I knew she'd already made. The choice that would end our marriage and probably destroy her life, but save mine. Monday evening, my wife returned home with her entire family in tow. I was sitting in the living room reading a book when they walked through the front door like they owned the place. No knocking, no announcement. Her father led the charge, followed by Jaden, Abigail, and my wife bringing up the rear. Their faces showed a mixture of determination and barely contained hostility. "We need to talk," her father announced. I closed my book and looked up calmly. "About what?" "About you standing in the way of your wife's future." "I'm not standing in anyone's way." Jaden stepped forward. "You're blocking access to the money that could triple in value by Christmas." "I'm protecting half of our savings from a scam, the half that belongs to me." "Scam?" Abigail's voice was sharp. "We've shown you proof. We brought you testimonials. We've explained exactly how this works. You showed me a pyramid scheme with good marketing." My wife finally spoke up. "We've made our decision as a family. We're moving forward with CryptoMax Elite tonight." "Good for you," I said. "Move forward with your own money." Her father's face darkened. "That money was saved by both of you, for both of your futures." "Exactly. And I'm using my half for my future, which doesn't include throwing $22,000 into a pyramid scheme." The room went silent. They'd clearly expected me to cave under family pressure. $22,000, my wife asked quietly. "My half of our savings, which I moved to a separate account this week." The silence stretched longer. "You can't do that," Jaden said finally. "I already did. It's called protecting my assets from theft." "Theft?" Her father's voice was dangerous. "Now you're accusing your wife of theft?" "I'm stating a fact. She tried to access our accounts without permission, multiple times." My wife's face went red. "I was looking at our options. You were preparing to steal money that didn't belong entirely to you." Abigail stepped closer. "You're destroying your marriage over $22,000. I'm protecting myself from people who think $22,000 is pocket change to gamble with." "It's not gambling," her father said. "It's investing in proven returns." "If it's so proven, invest your own money." "We already have. But the premium tier requires larger amounts. We're trying to help you access wealth you could never achieve alone." I stood up slowly. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave my house. My wife is going to make a choice. She can stay here with me and forget about CryptoMax Elite forever. Or she can go with you and chase her pyramid scheme dreams without my money." "That's not fair," my wife said. "You're making me choose between my family and my husband." "No, your family is making you choose. I'm just clarifying the options." Her father stepped between us. "Final offer. Give us access to the remaining funds and we'll cut you in for a full percentage of all profits. You'll make back your investment plus interest within 60 days. "No." "Think carefully," he continued. "This opportunity won't come again. After tonight, you'll regret this decision for the rest of your life." "I'll take that chance." Jaden exploded. "This is unbelievable. Your wife's family is trying to make you rich, and you're too stubborn to accept help." I'm too smart to fall for a con. Con? Abigail's voice went shrill. We've shown you bank statements. We've brought you proof. You've shown me screenshots and testimonials that could be faked by anyone with basic computer skills. My wife looked between me and her family. The moment of truth had arrived. I need to think, she said quietly. No thinking, her father said firmly. Time for thinking is over. Time for action is now. Choose. She looked at me. If I stay, will you consider investing just part of the money? Maybe $10,000 as a compromise? No. Will you at least research it more? Talk to more people in the program? No. Will you support my decision if I choose to invest my portion of our savings? You don't have a portion. We had joint savings, and I removed my half to protect it. Her face crumpled. So you're not willing to compromise at all? I'm not willing to enable your family's theft. She turned to her family, tears in her eyes. I can't make him change his mind. Her father put his arm around her. Then you have a choice to make. A husband who wants to keep you poor, or a family who wants to make you rich. I watched my wife's face as she processed the ultimatum. I could see the moment she made her decision. I choose my family, she said quietly. Understood, I replied. Wait, she said, looking confused by my calm response. That's it? You're not going to fight for us? You just chose them over me. What exactly should I fight for? I chose opportunity. I chose believing in something better. You chose a pyramid scheme over your marriage. I heard you clearly. Her father smiled triumphantly. Smart choice. This is the beginning of your authentic freedom. I walked to the front door and held it open. Time for everyone to leave. We're not done discussing this, Jaden said. Yes, we are. You're trespassing now. They filed out slowly, my wife looking back at me uncertainly. I'll call you tomorrow, she said, after I've had time to think. Don't bother. You made your choice. After they left, I sat in my quiet house and called my attorney. File the papers first thing tomorrow morning, I told him. Emergency divorce on grounds of financial misconduct. Are you sure? Once we file, there's no going back. I'm sure. Also, I want fraud charges filed if she attempts to access any accounts in my name. Understood. What about the house? It's a rental. She can have it. I'll be moved out by Thursday. Tuesday morning, while my wife was at her family celebration breakfast, already spending money they didn't have, I supervised the moving company as they removed every possession I cared about from our house. Furniture, electronics, clothes, books, everything that mattered. When they finished, I placed the divorce papers on the kitchen table next to a brief note explaining that her choice had consequences and I wouldn't be available for further discussion. Then I locked up and left my keys with the landlord. 6 months later, I was living in my own house, a modest place I bought with the money I'd protected from Cryptomax Elite. Meanwhile, my ex-wife lost everything. The pyramid scheme collapsed in spectacular fashion 2 months after our divorce. Everyone involved lost their investments. Her family blamed her for not bringing in enough new members. The fancy cars got repossessed. The designer clothes got sold. Sydney disappeared completely, probably running the same scam in a different city with a different name. My ex-wife ended up in a studio apartment across town, working double shifts to pay off the credit card debt she'd accumulated chasing phantom profits. I heard through mutual friends that she tried to contact me several times, wanting to explain, wanting to apologize, wanting to work things out. But I'd learned something valuable from the whole experience. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. My ex-wife showed me she valued her family's scam more than our marriage. She showed me she was willing to steal from me to chase a fantasy. She showed me that loyalty meant nothing when easy money was on the table. I believed her, and I saved myself from drowning in their collective stupidity. Now, I wake up in a house I own, with savings that are growing steadily through actual investments. I have peace. I have security. I have self-respect. And I have the quiet satisfaction of knowing that when my ex-wife's world collapsed, mine kept standing. Not because I was lucky, because I made the hard choice to protect myself from someone who'd stopped protecting us. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone determined to self-destruct. And sometimes the only way to win is to refuse to play a game rigged against you from the start. I chose myself. And it turned out to be the best investment I ever made. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.